How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? VuduVince, and we're back here, and this was the Gamescom 2019 live stream from World of Warships, and we're looking into the submarine gameplay. So we have an English speaker and we have a German speaker, and this is the U-69, which would be a Type 7C U-boat, which was the heavy lifter. It was the backbone of the Kriegsmarine for the Atlantic shipping and attacking. Obviously, the big 13 and the Mark 9s and the Mark 13s were bigger and better boats, but the Mark 7 was the most produced. So we're going to look at some of what we get to see here, and it's going to solidify. If you haven't seen the first video, just click the link at the top, and that will take you to the first video, which kind of goes over what Wargaming said. And then we're going to look here at this, remember, work in progress, to see kind of what's actually going on in the video here.
Yeah, quick disclaimer, this is very early gameplay, so please ignore numbers, ignore damage and everything. This is to showcase how the actual gameplay looks like at the current state.
So we have a ping going out. He pinged the front of the ship, which looks to be a cruiser, Indianapolis, maybe a Anyway, so there's a cruiser with the destroyer in lead, Pensacola, excuse me, same class. So the Farragut is making a turn here and is approaching the marked position, which is last known on the...
You can launch your torpedoes, and then you can use active sonar to ping the enemy target. There are two target points, one at the bow, one at the stern. If you manage to hit one, your torpedoes will become homing torpedoes, only to a certain extent. And if you hit two, they will go deep, and they will become effectively magnetic torpedoes and deal more damage. But as soon as you ping...
So it's very important to listen to what he just told you. So you do the ping. He's shooting at the cruiser, not at the destroyer. Even though he had the destroyer, he was focusing on the cruiser. And he said, so essentially it turns into a magnetic torpedo. And the way in which a magnetic torpedo is supposed to work is you set it to a depth that's underneath the keel of the vessel. As it moves under the keel of the vessel, it detects that it's over something magnetic, and it detonates and explodes. And what this does is cause a concussion, which is also compounded by it being underwater, a concussive force that cracks the keel of the vessel and does essentially breaks them in half. So that's what he's talking about. If you're able to ping both positions on the vessel in the current build, that it'll deal massive amounts of damage. But as you can see here, they're detected.
The entire enemy team will see you on the minimap.
Ganz genau, ich sehe das hier auf der Minimap auf der rechten Seite.
Ganz genau. Yeah, exactly. You know, more or less. He's launching a rear torpedo blind, which the destroyer is able to avoid. So he made it to that point within the time. They're within the 2 kilometers.
If you use your ping, and once he gets close, he's going to get a circle of your last known position. If he gets in there in the allotted time, he's going to see the next circle and be able to hunt you down. And you can see here, once he gets in range, depth charges start deploying, and the submarine is going to be in big trouble.
Ganz genau, also wenn ihr das dann quasi geschafft habt, das gegnerische U-Boot zu lokalisieren und in diesen Kreis reinfahrt, werden dann die Wasserbomben automatisch abgeworfen, denn wir wissen, Zerstörer haben schon sehr viel zu tun und möchten das Ganze so lösen. Man kann auch darauf achten, U-Boote sind natürlich nicht sonderlich schnell. Ihr seht auf der linken Seite die Geschwindigkeit und auch den Strukturpunkt.
What's interesting is that this guy there's no longer a circle, but the vessel is still deploying depth charges, which means if you're not able to get out of the effective range of the depth charges, it looks like, then they will continue to launch until you either die, maybe it runs out of charges, I'm not sure.
Yes, submarines are slow, submarines are vulnerable, you need to make sure you don't get caught. Our effects here are still a work in progress, reused from last Halloween, so you can expect something much more historically accurate.
What's interesting is he was still taking damage from way off. I mean, yes and no. I mean, you know, you'd have minimal type things happen. But, you know, the further you get away from the explosions, the less amount of damage you should take. We're going to see. And, of course, here, you know, the vessel's now coming from being submerged is actually going to surface, and he gets blapped pretty quickly.
Ganz genau. Und wir werden später, wir haben noch einen Stream laufen, da werden wir auch später noch ein bisschen aktives Gameplay zeigen und hoffen, dass ihr da mit dabei seid. Und wenn ihr irgendwelche Fragen habt...
So I'll skip ahead and we'll jump to the next point where we see some more gameplay. Yeah, shut up and show me the damn gameplay!
Yes, that's my screen. That is.
So now he's, this is the gameplay that's on iChase's deal, and of course we watched that first section, and that really did go into a very, it actually covered a lot of really important spots in a very short span of time. Now we're going to see a little bit more gameplay. This is what iChase was showing on his channel, and I was a little unimpressed because, number one, I went and looked up the Shallot to see what kind of boat it was, then learned about it being Tier 6, 8, and 10, learned about what armament it had, how many there were, blah, 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 went on through some crap, and then watched this stuff.
What are you playing?
Chose the tier 6 US sub.
Wow.
For now. There's already some differentiation in the way they play and in the characteristics, and I feel that this one is a bit easier because it has higher range, and I think it also has a bigger oxygen supply. So it's slightly easier.
There's one major issue with it that I see though. Well, it's not German.
Yes, I know, right? So, but I found I was always, during the press previews, I was playing the German submarines almost exclusively, or the German submarine, because we only have 2 6s so far for the test.
Okay.
But it, when I tried this one, it was super easy comparison. Like I could do things.
Which I think all the subs should have the same oxygen time. I don't think they should be limited by their oxygen. I think that it should be limits in like range and maybe how quick they can spot, things like that.
I'll take some time to get into the middle of the map to spot you.
Okay. Well, we can look over to my gameplay now as well. So I'm out in the Farragut, right?
So this game, the game variant that they're playing, looks like it's going to be like you're playing a destroyer escorting some cruisers or some surface vessels, and there's a destroyer or a submarine that is attacking you. So he's in this Farragut, which is a standard class, standard destroyer. It's capable of doing all the stuff it needs to do.
I'm gonna go hunt you. Are you gonna? So I think you accidentally set the bots to be not moving.
No, I did set them to be mobile.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
They're not mobile.
They're not? Oh, okay. Well, that's a shame. Then you get to hunt me, I guess.
I get to hunt you, but you get to try and hunt me first. I can see if I can dodge your aimed torpedoes, right?
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Anyway, well, this is just, guys, so you know, this is a laboratory experiment. It's not how you're supposed to be playing submarines. Submarines, you know, if we're going to be later testing that in a PvP event where you'll be part of a, let's say, normal battle lineup. That's not how you're supposed to be playing submarines. It's not the typical destroyer mistake of rush and die, and that one is going to be even more. Oh, really?
I have been detected.
It's not going to be the way you're supposed to play submarines. Submarines are going to be all about positioning, almost exclusively positioning. If you mess up your positioning, if somebody spots you, that's half of your plan already gone.
See, and this is something, when Chase was doing his video, and I keep going back to it, because this is what gets me between knowing and understanding how submarines really work and operate, how they did in World War II, which wargaming for the most part, they try to run that fine line a lot of times between a boat that works within its historical aspects and make it viable in the game. Krispy Kreme, you are not. You need to be Tier 4, but the Krasny Kreme, the Tier 5, that's upgraded Svetlana, that's really just a turd. But so at least we're hearing something. At least the guy who's playing it goes, this is not how you're supposed to be doing this. And it is all positioning. In Chase's videos, he was complaining, he was really nervous about poor Tier 5 and Tier 6 U.S. battleships being land-blasted by submarines. And it can happen. But the deal is that can happen anyway. If you're a terrible battleship player or you're a really poor player, you're going to die most of the time anyway. Now, you still have to aim, you still have to shoot, you still have to do all this stuff, but these subs are going to be very vulnerable once they run out of oxygen. And if you don't position right, you are going to die, because once you surface, everyone can shoot you. So I just don't think that that one little nuance is enough to just off-put someone from Submarines. But you know, again, he's another person. It's his game. He plays it on his own, and I don't typically watch any YouTube Warships except for Zelith for CV gameplay, because it's like watching an orchestra. It's amazing to watch him work. Not with the new crap that they've broken, but the previous CVs, the old school CV play was pretty damn cool. So he's launched his torps, and now he's going to do his ping.
Stop looking at my screen, you cheater.
No, I'm just just because I'm seeing right now. So if you can see, let's switch. So whatever Dunn just did, he launched his torpedoes, and he's now pinged me, which means that these torpedoes are going to be they're going to come looking for me, right?
Yes.
But you can also see that I immediately got a display, and I know there's a cachalot class submarine there, and these homing torpedoes are going to do their absolute best to.
So as soon as he pinged, he was detected, but he was able to launch the torpedoes, and they did some active tracking there. But of course, we can see he just completely avoids them. Right? I mean, he just completely dodges them.
You've pinged and you've managed to home does not mean that you're automatically going to win versus versus the ship. It's not as though like it's just a missile and you're just gonna it's over.
And more likely you're not gonna win. So that's
And that's something I don't think people really understand, is that a submarine against a coordinated, a knowing destroyer should get stomped on and should get beat up pretty bad. And the way that it worked was you made an engagement and then you ran from destroyers. Very few captains would fight destroyers. The Germans didn't do it. There were very few instances of it ever happening. The U.S. Submarine commanders were a little bit more crazy, and by a little bit I mean a whole hell of a lot, and they would engage destroyers, some of them intentionally. But for the most part, you made your shots, you dove deep, you listened for hits, and you escaped. You got out of the area.
something that you should, generally speaking, not do. I mean, of course, destroyers are targets of opportunity, but this is generally speaking your worst nightmare.
Typically what you would do is you would avoid a destroyer. You would just let him slip on past you, and you would attack other targets of opportunity and make the destroyer come back to you.
And I've got a certain amount of time to go in it. I guess this is where our the mechanics from our I just missed it, I think. Where the mechanics from our arms race come in really handy.
Yes, and even before from the Dunkirk scenario.
Another thing to think about is this whole time while he's proxy detected, because the destroyer is proximity detected by the submarine, well, he was until just recently. In standard PvP, this destroyer would be being engaged by other vessels. He's not going to just stay there. But if it's a duel between a submarine and a destroyer over on the edge of a map where there's really not a lot of surface vessel support for the submarine, it's going to get pretty hairy.
You just got a Mutsu. Unfortunately, it looks like we made a mistake. We're sending out the message for the congratulations, you got the Mutsu, instead of congratulations, you got our Gamescom drop. So we apologize for that, and we are going to try and fix it ASAP, but you will have got your Gamescom drop, which has some cool Gamescom camouflages and a Twitch container. Ooh, I saw, and I got another circle over there.
Oh, no,
yes.
really?
Oh, yes.
Yes, and also here the voice from the other side. We also have an additional giveaway. We still have the 50 mission tokens for the Gamescom special mission that will give you a premium container for tier 5. And you can win 3 Tirpitzes, 3 Scharnhorst, 3 Prince Eugen, and 3 T-61. So all you have to do is sign up. I'm dropping the links in chat for you guys.
Yes. Plus, of course, our physical items that we're including in that, right? Well, we've got a SteelSeries headset. We have a set of a SteelSeries mouse with a very nice SteelSeries mouse pad, and we have a Kobe Whisker Witter model kit, which we also just gave to a little kid, which is very nice. Always like giving the Kobe sets to little kids.
Anyway,
deep diving, that means I'm proxy detected. That means I am going the right direction. I did not at all look at the screen, of course. That
No,
would be
of course
cheating. No.
No.
Oh,
no.
here's the circle, and it's close enough this time to get in.
They can't
Okay.
see my screen. Actually,
So if we'll cut to your screen just a second, right? So he's watching me. He knows I'm close, right? But I'm gonna get in this circle now, which means I get a second
scenario
circle.
that I don't want.
So this is now as long as I manage to follow this path, the circles are gonna keep getting smaller, and I'm gonna narrow down where he actually is. And you can see now we have the water bombs being launched, and I am deep.
Water bombs.
And I got a circle again, so I know where he is. He's
Fucking
there, so
Englishman.
I shot him. Didn't manage to kill him my first run, but I did 7,700 hit points of damage, and he's almost dead.
Obviously, the stuff that people saw on my screen, the explosions, those are still from the Halloween event. Those are not the final effect.
Just talking about
Same
that they're
with,
green in color.
The mines that you saw from in the trailer, those are still from the Halloween event as well.
Can you maybe also change the point of view to the submarines? And we have a question here from chat. So, do submarines detect enemy DDs in deep water?
Submarines do normal proxy spotting within 2 kilometers of anything.
Which most of this we read up on. We saw most of this, and so far we really haven't seen anything that's any different from what we really saw in that very first clip. And that very first clip, I think, was more or less covered.
A lot of those Citadel hits to submarines, or whether people will be mostly spamming, or whether people will be, firing from flanks, where these incoming sources of damage will be. And then we'll tweak the torpedo characteristics as well, because it's important whether, submarine torpedoes are mostly based on burst damage, or whether they're based on...
Yeah, so in this turn here, he's outside of proximity range. A smart deal would be to, while you're at deep dive and you have your hydro deal, you point your nose or your tail at the target and then come to periscope depth. That way you're already pointing at them and you're not making your turn at extremely slow speed here. Because, I mean, we're talking, he's at full and he's doing 7.5 knots, 7.2, which is normal, but it's much slower.
Whether they're based on flooding damage or something else.
So what was interesting is that he did a ping blind. The boat was there, he did the ping, and it worked. And these actually track the vessel.
Guys, please keep in mind that obviously this is still very early, and that's the reason why we're testing this together with you. So we can get all of your input, and we're not sharing like a final product with you that will basically hit the server next week. All of this is still very early on, and we value your feedback very much. So I'm very happy that you're all here and participate and share your feedback and questions. We'll try to answer as many as we can.
What a bastard.
There's a question, for example, from Frico.
So that's how you can do it, actually. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. What happens if you don't have any air left and the oxygen, basically the oxygen runs out?
It forces you to the surface is what ends up happening. So really and truly, we're not seeing anything outside of what I discussed initially in the video, but we do get to see a little bit of gameplay here. Let's track a little forward here.
The mechanics of torpedoes, it doesn't exist currently, so if we add it to submarines, it's relatively self-explanatory.
So we have
in a situation where you were right now, where you're firing at a blob of ships and potentially the target that you had selected is destroyed in front of you, you can also ping a different target, and then the torpedoes will reacquire a different target, which makes it interesting potentially for, more nuanced play where
oh goodness.
Fire torpedoes towards one target and everybody's like, they're not going to hit me, and then ping them.
And you can see them adjusting course here, but their rate of turn is quite low.
Yes.
So obviously like a hard turn or just stopping...
But against a battleship or a cruiser from range?
They're not the torpedoes from Hunt for Red October where they're going to turn around, and reacquire your ship. They're not.
Oh,
that
rip. Goodbye. There we go.
That's pretty cool, the double pings. But of course, you gave away your position, so it's a cost versus reward.
When there's a good chance that there are homing torpedoes on their way to you.
A VFX.
But if you shot and loop the torpedo into the citadel by sending it on a roundabout course.
And you can also, it's not like the torpedoes are going to be super invisible as well. There's going to be a trade-off there as well. They're most likely going to be a bit more visible, so that even though they're homing and they're adjusting to your course, you'll be able to, for example, turn into them and take them on the bow, for example, preventing the citadel hit.
We'll do some straight ones.
And Little Sharon is asking, so guys, when is the stream going to reveal some stuff. I came late. He got kind of confused. So guys, if you missed the
Yeah, you're shit out of luck
the
if you just
presentation,
showed up at
which
this
is
point.
awesome, if you take a look at the video,
3 hours into a 5-hour stream.
it's basically in the middle of the stream, so you can take a look at the stage presentation that we had broadcasted here live from Gamescom, where you'll see all of the news besides Submarines.
See what kind of damage we got. So we've got a full health.
We also announced an upcoming German hero commander. We also
What?
announced
34,000 damage. So, I mean, it's worth it to ping them on a big boat, and then you better run like hell, because Destroyer's going to be all over your bacon if you don't watch out. So it's very interesting gameplay to see. Obviously, we're going to see how far it goes. I want to get in on it, and any information that I have, I'm definitely going to share with you. But the first video covers the basics of how they're going to work, how they're going to do it, and we get to see a little bit of here of it really working in game, and it is pretty interesting. So we're going to see, obviously one of their deals is they're going to limit, different nations will have different bonuses and perks, just like surface vessels would. You know, the French have speed or reload boosters or both, and then Americans have like radar in their cruisers, whereas some other ships don't, yada yada yada. Anyway, so as we press on, we're going to see more and more stuff come out of this, and it's going to be pretty darn interesting. So hang with us. If you got any questions, comments, concerns, let me hear them, and I'll see you guys next time.